The Arizona Wildcats defeat the Xavier Musketeers in a nail biter. The Arizona Wildcats 68 to the Xavier Musketeers 60. What was going on was the Xavier Musketeers were doing a 1-3-1 zone, and the Arizona Wildcats um, have run across some severe problems when they were trying to play against the zone. The Arizona Wildcats break down the zone, I think, um, with use of the three pointers from the Arizona Wildcat players like Gabe York and Elliot Pitts. Stanley Johnson can also knock down some three pointers. I've also seen some of your post players. I've seen some of the Arizona Wildcats post players knock down a three pointer or two. Brennan Ashley, Dusan Ristic, I've seen him knock down a three pointer. I think maybe Caleb Tarczewski, the 7-footer, has maybe knocked down a three pointer, but I can't remember that off the top of my head. But T.J. McConnell, the point guard for the Arizona Wildcats, knocked down a three pointer. Um, but anyway, so you got all these Arizona Wildcats, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to um, break down that or bust up that 1-3-1 zone defense by shooting a three pointer, shooting three pointers, and whenever there are a threat from the 3 point land, then that can break up, that can cause one of your the three part one of the defenders out on the edges of the uh, three three man zone defense, 1-3-1, the end of the three zone defense, to jump out and try and defend the um, the 3 point shooter. And whenever he does, then one of the other players, another offensive player can set a pick for that person that has jumped out, and then that will give the person that tried to shoot the three pointer to go inside um, and dribble penetrate and get a shot off inside the arc that way. Um, the the thing, what it was just extremely frustrating because the Arizona Wildcats, it seemed like what they were doing is they just kept on going after the three pointers and going after the three pointers. I mean, in the first half, then the Arizona Wildcats shot 13 three pointers, and they only made four of them. Um, and then in the second half, and the Arizona Wildcats shot 9 three pointers, and they only made three of them. So, that what that is it. That's 22 3 point attempts. Uh, I I don't know. I was thinking about this game before it happened today. I was thinking, well, what happens if the University of Arizona plays against somebody that sets up a zone, like Xavier did, and somebody and the University of Arizona Wildcats cannot knock down their three pointers, and that's kind of what happened. That's the recipe of what happened tonight against the Arizona Wildcats. That's why the Arizona Wildcats, the score was tied at 28 apiece against the Xavier Musketeers at halftime, and so um, the the Xavier Musketeers had found a way to essentially stopped the dribble penetration of the Arizona Wildcats and the inability of the Arizona Wildcats to pass that ball into somebody in the post. Um, Caleb Tarczewski, the 7-footer, or Brendan Ashley. I think he's 6'9", and to some extent also uh, 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 Rondé Hollis-Jefferson and Stanley Johnson. Um, because whenever I was looking at the first half stats, and I was thinking, well, what is going on with the Arizona Wildcats? Why? Well, I mean, I think for the longest time, I think in the first half, T.J. McConnell only had two assists, and he had more turnovers than he had assists, and that's very unusual for T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell usually has 3 assists to maybe to one turnover, and that's kind of his standard. So it was very frustrating to me to see T.J. McConnell not be able to get that ball inside to those Brendan Ashley or Caleb Tarczewski. I couldn't understand why he was having such a difficult time, and the reason why he was having a difficult time was that 1-3-1 zone. Um, that was just really really difficult, and finally I think um, the Arizona Wildcats what they tried to do is they just kept on going at trying to shoot the 3-pointer. Stanley Johnson knocked down a couple 3-pointers. Um, Gabe York knocked down, I think, 3 3-pointers out of 8 attempts, and I think it was Elliot Pitts knocked down a 3-pointer. And that's it for the Arizona Wildcats. Those are all the three. So the Arizona Wildcats shot seven. They made 7 3-pointers out of 22 attempts, um, and is that that's 31%. So the Arizona Wildcats need to increase their percentage uh, to at least 33%, which is kind of an average or the normal for from 3-point land. I was just wondering what was going to happen to the Arizona Wildcats if they were cold, if somebody was cold from 3-point land, what were they going to use as different um, as a different way to attack and get at some points. And I think eventually what happened was uh, I think the noise and maybe the tiredness of playing, uh, you know, hardcore defense, and just the continuousness of the game, and all of it, the pressure was just too much for the Xavier Musketeers, and finally, the Xavier Musketeers were unable to um, defend as good as they needed to, and the Xavier Musketeers started to break down. Their defense started to break down, and I think that's whenever T.J. McConnell was able to get some of those assists, get the ball down into the post players, down and to other players, so that he could so they could get their shots off. T.J. McConnell ended up with 5 assists tonight, which is not bad. He normally gets 6 or 7 assists a game, normally about 6 assists a game. So 5 is not bad at all for the amount of assists, but it's like he was right at the end. I mean, it was the whole game pretty much for T.J. McConnell. He couldn't, like he was saying, he couldn't throw the he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean from the beach. You know, he is really he could not make a shot for the life of him. Um, but he started to knock down. He knocked down that 3-pointer right there at the end, and the end of the second half, and he also was able to kick it off to a couple people to get assists. Stanley Johnson didn't have too bad of a game, but one of the things that was really um, really nice, really nice to see was Caleb Tarczewski for the Arizona Wildcats. Caleb Tarczewski, I think he had 9 rebounds or something like that against I think against Ohio State. So, and that was last game, I think on Saturday, and he followed Caleb Trzeski maybe usually ends up with 3 rebounds or 4 rebounds total a game, and the 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 ability of him to get 9 rebounds, which is what a lot of us expect because he is a 7-footer and he is a post player and he's a big man and he should be able to get that many rebounds. Um, that should be his average. Nine rebounds or 10 rebounds should be his average. That's what we expect from him. Um, and so it's very nice to see that not only he get uh, 9 rebounds in Ohio State, our last game for the Arizona Wildcats, but then he also had 10 or 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 was it? Let me see. He had 12. Um, 12 rebounds, 5 offensive, which is just great. It's just fantastic. I mean, I think offensive rebounds are just they're so valuable um, as far as a team because then it demoralizes the opposing team and it makes it it's like you fight so hard and then you fight so hard to get the ball but then the opposing team gets the ball again so you got another fight another 35 seconds again to try and stop the opposing team from getting points so it's just it really wears on you, and that's why I think that offensive rebounds are so valuable, are so important. Um, the Arizona Wildcats had 10 total offensive rebounds, 2 from Brennan Ashley. Also, I think he's 6'9", so that was another big post player. Uh, Contributions from another post player for the Arizona Wildcats with 2 offensive rebounds. Um, Although Brennan Ashley didn't have any defensive rebounds, which is kind of a shame. But maybe he will be able to pick up his game. Hopefully, Brennan Ashley and Caleb Tarczewski for the Arizona Wildcats will be able to um, tear down or pull down 9, 10 rebounds each against whenever we play against the Washington or unless when we play against Wisconsin Badgers, I think, on Saturday. Um, but anyway, there was pretty good, pretty good all around. Only 8 turnovers for the Arizona Wildcats, as compared to 12 turnovers for the Xavier Musketeers. So that helped out quite a bit. Um, And another thing that really, I think it made a big difference for the Arizona Wildcats was they uh, shot 17 for 19 from free throws. Um, so they made 17 of 19 free throw attempts. So that's pretty darn good. And I was thinking that the Arizona Wildcats, maybe that 1-3-1 zone was too hard for the Arizona Wildcats to dribble penetrate. Um, and maybe that's why the Arizona Wildcats were not able to draw fouls and get into that key. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, Stanley Johnson were not able to draw fouls and get into that key and try and go for those shots, dribble penetrate, and so maybe that 1-3-1 zone was just too difficult for them to deal with. So I think that Sean Miller is going to really have to work on the 1-3-1 zone with the Arizona Wildcats tomorrow, and just make sure that the Arizona Wildcats can do better when dealing with the 1-3-1 zone. Uh, work on definitely work on more dribble penetration, because I think that was one of the reasons why the Arizona Wildcats were able to pull out this victory, um, pull out the victory of and win by 8 points in this game, is because they did dribble penetration and they were able to use the free throws to their advantage, not only by getting a bunch of them, but making them too. Uh, I think they shot 88% or 89% from free throw from the charity stripe. So anyway, the Arizona Wildcats did very did quite well tonight, pulling out a victory against the Xavier Musketeers. Final score: Arizona Wildcats 68 to the Xavier Musketeers 60.